the Gauntlet. Let's go.
If you smell what the Gauntlet is cooking.
What's up, everybody? The king is back in his throne, rightfully so. It's my turn to host the show this week. It is the 2023, but it's the 2022 season awards show. The Gauntleys, if you will. So this is where we go through the season and we talk about different parts of the season and we hand out our season awards. It's like our own version of the NFL honors, which is coming up the weekend before the Super Bowl. I don't know. I don't keep track of it. I don't really pay attention to it, but I pay attention to the Gauntleys. So we're going to get into it tonight. Let's get the crew in the building. Denzel Snipes, JJ Jenkins, and Detroit Dom. What's up, guys? How you guys doing tonight?
That don't even look like Detroit Dom. That looks like the guy from IT.
I swear to God, he looks like an accountant.
Yeah, he's like the guy in IT, and all he does is eat crackers and like type on a computer
and not fix your computer in a timely fashion.
Have you guys ever seen Rick and Morty?
Yeah.
You guys know the episode where they went to the arcade and they were playing the Ron game, and the guy they were playing a virtual simulation of a guy named Ron, and he goes to work at like a store. I get that from Dom right there, like he's Ron.
Dom is definitely giving off of those electrifying vibes tonight.
Or the guy who does say fake doors, come and get your fake doors, or the personal space, like you look just like that.
Or Dom looks like he looks like he's gonna sell me something.
But be real crooked about it.
Your
door-to-door salesman.
Back to you after I stole it.
Hello, sir. Would you like to buy some new windows?
Oh, wow. Don't do me like that.
Some of them are oil change with old oil.
Bad. I didn't get a chance to see our teams face each other this week.
Same.
Congratulations, bro. Congratulations on that.
Absolutely.
The Mavericks wanted Bogey so bad that they stranded our whole team there for 3 days.
Damn.
They did what?
They stranded us in Dallas for 3 days, hoping Bogey would never leave.
Your game got canceled? I don't even pay attention to the NBA, bro.
No, Detroit, Washington got canceled because we were stuck in Dallas for 3 days.
Oh, okay.
Definitely.
Cowboy X Factor says hello, JJ.
What up?
He doesn't say hello to Denzel or Dom.
Right.
Pretty interesting. Right. He says hi to 50% of the show, I guess. Anyway,
that's fine. I don't care about Cowboys fans.
We might as well get into it tonight. Starting with our 2022 Sports Moron of the Year.
Are you guys kidding me?
Oh man, that clip just brings joy to my heart.
It's a mainstay on the show.
So if you guys remember last year, the Sports Moron of the Year was so epic. It came down to the final two guests, or the final two candidates, which was Urban Meyer and Ben Simmons. And the voting was tied, and it went to overtime. And Ben Simmons actually made some free throws in overtime, and he actually won. But
actually made some free throws.
Ben was not as much of an idiot to repeat this year, unfortunately. So this year's nominees went to Mr. Antonio Brown, the Denver Broncos organization. It also went to Brett Favre, and who's the last person? I believe it was who was it?
Dylan Brooks.
It was not Dylan Brooks because the Dylan Brooks situation didn't happen until after that. But he could be the early nominee for next year when we do next year's Gauntleys if this stuff continues. I do not know why Dom keeps getting kicked out. But we got to take a look at that. Anyway, I think it was Ime Udoka, the Boston Celtics coach for the whole situation. So let's just go around the horn here and let's all say who we voted for, starting with Denzel. Who was your vote, and why did you pick them for Sports Moron of the Year?
Sports Moron of the Year was it was rough. I mean, Antonio Brown, man, just you talk about a guy, and I know we're just talking about the second ever Gauntleys and Sports Moron of the Year for this, but there is a heavy case. He's been Sports Moron for the last 5, 6, 7 years. This guy's antics. He's got all the talent on planet Earth that over 75% of the people out there wish they had a fraction of. He even wins a Super Bowl. Like he came from like all of this, right? And like still won a ring. So you would think like the movie writes itself, right? And then he goes and he pulls another stunt. There was this last thing where he was out in Dubai in a jacuzzi, and his shorts got taken down, and he was nude. Okay, yeah, he's always. I'm not going to sit up here and say trouble just kind of finds him. He always finds trouble. He finds a way to screw it up. When he gets a good opportunity, he just finds a way to screw it up. Like that's just a given. Death, taxes, and Antonio Brown's going to screw something up. So he was my Sports Moron of the Year.
Okay, Dom. So, who was your Sports Moron of the Year, and why did you vote for them?
Brett Favre.
Okay.
Despicable. I'll keep it real short. If you had told me beforehand that Brett Favre would be in the mix of something like that, I would say no way, because I don't think he's intelligent enough to pull off something like that. And surprise, surprise, he wasn't, because he got caught. But it's like, dude, what are you doing? That's Brett Favre further tarnishing his legacy as an overrated Hall of Fame quarterback.
And JJ, who was your choice, and why did you pick them?
Ime Udoka. More so in the sense of you come on now, you should have known. Like we grew up in the corporate world. If you're gonna do your stuff, you just pick nobody. I mean, absolutely nobody that is anything related to anybody at that organization. And the minute you did that, like it just turned into a no. And then of course, above all, Nia Long, she right there. She been by your side for 10 years?
That's a great point.
Yep.
10 years point. And yes, I do believe Nia knew the type of man that she had. But one thing, and I was talking to one of my friends about this the other day, older women know when they deal with men that let them get out their system if they really want to be together. And then after that, then they can kind of have bliss together. And you should have been done with all that. Like, we do our craziness with other women up from like 20s and 30s. You in your 40s and still run around. You should be having the fun and the freakiness with the woman that you have, which is Nia Long, and not. And so,
100%.
Like, bro, like, come on, man. Like, no, like that just was crazy. And now, sure, you will bounce back and sure you recover and whatever, but it's just still something on you that's just like, bro, nah, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. You guys all make really good cases for all the guys you picked. So I will have to agree with Dom on this one. I just think that Brett Favre, this is one of the most messed up things that I can hear of. And one of the, just why? Why would you do something like this? You know, you're stealing welfare money from the government. Listen, like, I've actually had to use food stamps and stuff before because times was tough. This is money that people depend on, like, as a lifeline. And you basically just made a big joke out of that. And it's just, it's heart-wrenching to think about that, especially when you're a guy like Brett Favre, who has made a lot of money in his career as an NFL player, and he's still doing this stuff. Why don't you actually, if you want to invest in your daughter's high school volleyball team or whatever it was, why don't you cut a check from your money? So it was disgusting. It was selfish. It was something that I just can't even imagine. But unfortunately, Brett was not the winner. Can I get a drum roll? And the winner is Antonio Brown, and it was not even close. Antonio Brown got like 90% of the votes or something. There's a lot of landslides in the Gauntleys this year. There's only a couple of categories where it was kind of close, but obviously, like you said, Jay, this guy just, and one of the most messed up things about Antonio Brown is how he was going after Tom Brady. You know, and Tom Brady obviously recently retired this week once again. But when all the stuff was going on with Antonio Brown, Tom Brady was there for him. Tom Brady was even letting him stay in the house with his wife and kids. And you're posting all this messed up stuff about, how you want to do stuff with Giselle and all the stuff he has done. The cops were outside his house waiting to arrest him, and he was like refusing to come out of the house. It's just, it's beyond words at this point for Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown is the 2022 winner of the Sports Moron of the Year. Congratulations to Antonio. Here's your trophy. Any more thoughts on that?
The situation in Dubai was like, yo, come on, Antonio. Like,
that whole what a lot of people were talking about Antonio Brown's Snapchat, and I was like, I'm not even going to take the time to follow.
And then then he continues with the most recent, where he had a picture of his baby giving him. I'm like, be honest with you, like, bro, if you going down this path, like, just go down this path, go full throttle, but you losing it, bro. It's like, yo, what are you doing? Like
chronic.
He needs some help.
However you say
Antonio
that.
Brown, Antonio Clown, Sports Moron of the Year for this year. When we get back, we are going to go to our Gauntlet Grinders, which was a segment that was introduced by our man Jay. We have AFC Gauntlet Grinder of the Year and NFC Gauntlet Grinder of the Year. Stay tuned to see who wins those awards. And guys, Sideline Sports Network is your home for all the best sports coverage. We have all kinds of different shows. We are sending a team to Arizona to cover the Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and my Philadelphia Eagles, of course. So we'll be there.
That guy's going.
And I will also be there. So be on the lookout. There's going to be a lot of great content and a lot of things happening out there. So, guys, we're going to start with our AFC Gauntlet Grinders. We're going to start with our nominees. Nominees are quarterback Patrick Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs, running back Josh Jacobs from the Las Vegas Raiders, wide receiver Tyreek Hill from the Miami Dolphins, and who was the last one? From the
Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce from the Chiefs. So we'll start it off. JJ, we'll go backwards this time. Who was your pick, and why did you go with them?
My pick, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, yes, it's taboo because it's what it is, but the man was projected to have a different year this year. They were projected to be, a little bit less of an explosive team. His numbers were supposed to drop because of Tyreek Hill being gone, and the dude actually played better than he did when he had with him for majority of the season. And here he is again in a Super Bowl, looking like a good chance to possibly win. So it's a very tough test against Philly. The man just grinded out when Buffalo was getting to talk for being with Josh Allen. They're going to light it up. Burrow, they're going to be the top 2 seeds. Who was number 1? Like, who came down to
who's back in the Super Bowl?
Right. And so the man just the grinder, and he made it work. He helped. He was one of the he has a great cast, and he uses them to the best. The man grinded every time. And thank you for helping me win quite a bit of money, my man. I appreciate it.
Point spread Jenkins strikes again.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Dom.
It's Josh Jacobs. In the offseason, the Raiders declined his 5th-year option. Then in the preseason, they tried to shop him. Preseason week 1, he had like 14 carries in the first game, and people thought maybe he was on the move. And you can't blame the man for being disgruntled. And then all he did was go out and lead the league in rushing behind a average offensive line. It's Josh Jacobs. Hope to see you soon, my friend, in Honolulu blue and silver.
Wishful thinking.
It would be a good piece.
It would be, but it's wishful thinking. No, don't get me wrong. Him and Jamal Williams in the backfield, and then DeAndre Swift. Shit. I mean, Goff doesn't have to throw the ball really. That'd be pretty sick.
Adding an element of the run game would make Detroit's offense.
I think Josh would be a great fit for the Buffalo Bills.
Interesting.
I don't think they necessarily need a guy like him per se. I think they'd be explosive with a guy like an Isaiah Pacheco type. Someone that's speedy and's got burst, like a Tony Pollard, if he was not to be in
Yeah.
Well, Pollard is a free agent, but we'll see what the Cowboys are going to do. Are they going to pay Tony Pollard a big contract? He's coming off of injury. They have Zeke still on the books. Is Zeke going to take a pay cut? A lot of decisions coming up for the Cowboys. But, Jay, who was your pick?
I actually put the poll up, so I didn't vote. However, if I did, I would have said Tyreek Hill. 119 receptions, 1,710 yards, 7 touchdowns. He also became the fastest to reach 1,000 yards in NFL history. He did it in 9 games. Real funny how his first season without Mahomes, he had his career high in receiving yards for the season with Tua at quarterback. That says something. Dude grinded it out every single. I mean, he was very instrumental in, Miami getting to the postseason. Unfortunately, Tua couldn't play, and they still kept it close with Buffalo. But Tyreek is still every bit the playmaker that he was supposed to be. And you know what? 2 things can be true here, okay? Both were just fine without each other this year. Mahomes was just fine. He's probably going to win. Well, that's pending. He's probably going to win most valuable player. Then again, Hurts may win it. I don't know. But he did amazing this year. Tyreek Hill did amazing this year. So people sometimes have to get out of this mind frame of one side has to lose. I mean, granted, yeah, the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. The Dolphins aren't. But, again, as players, both of them did just fine. They did amazing this year. But I would have voted for Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, it's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, just like everything that JJ said, he was basically being told that, okay, well, you've had a great start to your career and everything, but what are you going to do without, like, all the weapons? What are you going to do with a guy like Juju, who's more of, like, an average receiver, Valdez-Scantling, who's an average receiver, they traded for Kadarius Toney in the middle of the season, Mecole Hardman, guys like that. When you look at the Chiefs team, the only guy that really stands out is Travis Kelce in terms of their skill position players, having like that level of star power. like we're used to seeing for the Chiefs, having Tyreek Hill out there at that position. But Mahomes just went out. He led the league passing yards. He led the league in touchdowns. He led the league in almost everything at the quarterback position. Kansas City Chiefs 14-3, tied for the most wins in National Football League. And despite his ankle injury in the playoffs, leads the Kansas City Chiefs back to the Super Bowl, where they will play Jalen Hurts in the Philadelphia Eagles. So the top two MVP candidates going at each other. We'll talk more about that on our next show. But Mahomes, unbelievable this season, and he got my vote for the AFC Gauntlet Grinder of this season, and he got the vote of the people as well. As Mahomes was the winner.
Just want to add to that. Remember when his contract was signed, the most immediate thing that people were looking for was this to happen: losing a star player like Tyreek Hill, having to have lesser guys that aren't of his caliber here, because they were thinking, oh, you can't do that. That's why you're not going to have a team, because you can't bring over star talent to build around this dude. And then here he is this year with a difference of a different team with a much different feel in the Super Bowl, 5 straight AFC championship games. Like, the dude's he's grinding. I don't know where he came from, because I never saw it coming. But the man, I'm glad he's here, because he's fun to watch.
He came from the mind of Jim Henson.
Oh boy.
What I love the most about Patrick, I love his dad. His comments to the Cincinnati Bengals, he is a straight up, and Jay, you are about to say this, he is straight up, he's a straight up in mother freaking W-I-T.
Yeah. He is no, his dad is off the chain.
You on the block in the hood, be like, that's the OG right there. Don't mess with him. He ain't that type. He ain't that type.
And he pitched in the majors. That's how I like Mahomes got his arm. That's crazy.
Yeah, you guys got that right. But Mahomes is the winner, ladies and gentlemen. So let's flip it to the other side. Let's go to the NFC Gauntlet Grinders of the year. We got Justin Jefferson, one of our nominees here. Then we got St. Brown from the Detroit Lions. We also have Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles. And help me out. Who was our other guy?
Saquon.
Saquon Barkley? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll start us off. Guys, the clear answer to this question.
Please do.
The clear answer to this question is Jalen Hurts. Before the season, the whole offseason, there was nothing but noise around this Eagles team, and it was all about the quarterback. It was about which quarterback was going to replace Jalen Hurts. Was it going to be Deshaun Watson? Was it going to be Russell Wilson? Was it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Was it going to be somebody from the draft? Oh, the Eagles have 2 first-round picks. They're going to use one of them on a quarterback. Jalen Hurts doesn't have what it takes to succeed. He doesn't have the skill set of a stereotypical NFL quarterback. And all Jalen Hurts did this season was elevate this team. And you had people like Michael Parsons, people questioning him, still saying, well, it's the team around him, it's the offensive line, it's the coaching, it's the system, it's the other players around him. But when Jalen Hurts was injured against the Chicago Bears towards the end of the season, well, the team did not look very good with him out of the lineup. So Jalen Hurts has completely elevated this Philadelphia Eagles team, and he has led them to the Super Bowl just 2 years after being drafted in the second round of a 4-win team. His rookie season, they won 4 games. 2 years later, last year, he leads the Eagles to the playoffs, gets pretty much exposed against Tampa Bay, and all it does is make him better and take him to the next level. And he has taken the Eagles to the next level, and he's just looking like a true franchise quarterback. Jalen Hurts is the 2022 NFC Gauntlet Grinder of the year. There is no debate. But Jay, who did you pick?
I treated this the same way as the AFC one. Like, yeah, we could say a quarterback, but that'd be too easy. So I voted for Justin Jefferson, wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. 1,809 yards receiving, 8 touchdowns, 128 receptions. He averaged 14.1 yards per catch. His season stats were eerily similar to Tyreek Hill. And he did it with Kirk Cousins as his quarterback. And people have their reservations about Kirk Cousins. I know that guy right below me has got his reservations on Kirk Cousins. We've been going back and forth for years about it. But even still, you know, you talk about a dude who was a part of an historically great Southeastern Conference offense, and he parlayed that into the pros. There's no question about it that if he's not the best receiver in the game, he's definitely top 5. And so Justin Jefferson, in short, well, he's got my vote. JJ, who you got?
I kind of agree with James. We know who probably is going to be the de facto guy, but I'm gonna make a case for another guy, and I'll honorable mention a guy that wasn't named. I'll honorable mention Geno Smith for the Seahawks for the grinding point. But of the guys listed.
Whoa, hang on. I'm sorry, JJ. Before you continue, this is coming from the same guy who said, I never believed in the Geno project. All of that was coming to a... Remember when you said that?
I do.
Okay, continue.
I appreciate how he ended the year and how they fought back and how they handled themselves. It was a tough sledding, but he grinded. That was just honorable mention. That's not who my pick was. That was just honorable mention. I will say it is Jalen Hurts, but I will say I'm Saquon just for the argument because the Giants, Daniel Jones got a ton of credit, but if we really want to be honest, Saquon was the guy that grinded through everything for this team, had one of the highest usage rates of any guy that was in the running backs of today's game and of all skill position guys. And they got to the playoffs with Daniel making good plays, but really having Saquon being the guy that they could rely on. So Saquon definitely was a grinder of the year.
There he is. Dom, it's
It's
on you.
Jalen Hurts. It's Jalen Hurts. It's not close. I'm a well-documented Jalen Hurts fan since day one. Lions should have drafted him. He was disrespected almost from the moment he walked in the room in Philadelphia. And in put up or shut up time, he put up, and he's still putting up, and now he's in the Super Bowl.
Pretty simple, guys. And the winner is, drum roll.
Of course it was Hurts. With 50% of the vote.
So 50% of the people just said it was the system or whatever. So good for you guys. You're wrong again. Jalen versus Mahomes. Sorry, I muted myself. But first ever matchup of both the starting quarterbacks in the Super Bowl are African American. So that is pretty cool. But we got to go to some more fun topics now. This next one, this is where things got really close. Really close. So, our rising star candidates this year. You have Devontae Smith from the Philadelphia Eagles. Came out 1,200 yards, 7 receiving touchdowns. Really had a good second year after having a really good rookie season for Philadelphia. Then you had Trevor Lawrence, who really, with Doug Peterson turning that team around, Doug and Trevor working together, getting that playoff win. It was good stuff. So Trevor in there for the nomination. Then, of course, we had Sauce Gardner, the New York Jets, one of the best rookies in the NFL, and he's just looking like he's going to be a great corner for many, many years to come. And then you have Brock Purdy, who up until he got injured against the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game, pretty much went undefeated as a starter, led the Niners to the NFC Championship, and he could be their quarterback in the future. We don't know what they're going to do with Trey Lance. It's going to be a quarterback competition. Going to be interesting. So, Jay, who did you vote for?
Trevor Lawrence, most definitely. You talk about a turnaround. Now, mind you, his 2021 stats, he threw 12 touchdowns to 17 picks. His passer rating was 71.9. Now, in comes Dougie P. And I know a lot of people will say, hey, Dougie P got a lot to do with that. He is a quarterback whisperer. That's cool. You can say the same for Andy Reid, Frank Reich, whatever. Okay. But he turned that into 25 touchdowns, only 8 picks, a 95.2 rating, and he also led his team, albeit in a bad division. I get it, okay? The NFC South is way worse. But at one point in time, they were 3-7. The Titans were 7-3. You want to say the Titans choked? Hey, two things can be true. The Titans choked, and the Jaguars came back and won it. The Jags weren't expected to do nothing this year. Trevor Lawrence, and then what he did in the playoffs. The fact that he was on the big stage for the first time, not the biggest stage, but in the playoffs, it's on a pretty big stage. He throws 4 interceptions in the first half, where anyone else would have crumbled and caved and said, you know what, that's it. He came out and played a near flawless second half, throwing 4 touchdown passes and leading them to an epic comeback victory. I believe they said it was the third most in the third biggest in NFL history and playoff history. Trevor Lawrence got my vote, absolutely.
I got Sauce Gardner. Because when this guy came into the league, we heard about his whole college career at Cincinnati, not giving up a touchdown. The first thing everybody says is, yeah, welcome to the NFL. You're about to get, a couple touchdowns ring on you. You're going to have some good moments, but you're going to pretty much struggle this year. And if you look at his numbers this year, pretty much was as locked down as you can get for all rookies, lived up to the hype. The Jets defense immediately became that much more aggressive, that much more fierce. He didn't get hurt. He looks like a guy that is about to become a top 2, potentially maybe number 1 type of cornerback in the league. Now, granted, he did have a great career like Patrick Surtain is, but he's a rising star. They're all rising stars, but he couldn't actually come down as the almost how if you have the Legion of Boom, if they get together that Jets defense where he is the leader of that secondary. Sauce grinded it this year, came up against people, shut them down, had some of the best wide receivers that ever played this game. Played this in his era, shut him down. The man definitely deserved his props for me as my rising star.
Understood.
It's T-Law. Way too many people after his rookie year was like, oh, he's a bust. He's this, he's that, or, he's not that. I'm like, no, that was an Urban Meyer situation. He made Zay Jones relevant in the NFL. Remember Zay Jones buried on the depth chart in Oakland/Vegas? Now all of a sudden, it's not even Marvin Jones Jr., a guy a veteran with a list of accomplishments much larger than Zay Jones. All of a sudden, I'm seeing Zay Jones with 8 catches, 150 yards, a touchdown. He resurrected Evan Ingram's career.
Yes,
he took that team from a number 1 pick to a division winner and a playoff win. Granted, I discount that playoff win because Chargers going Charger, but that was still very impressive. Just to hold it together mentally after having that sort of a half, spectacular. And he is what we thought he was when he got drafted. Phenomenal talent.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you guys on Trevor. Trevor is my pick as well. Seeing the situation that Trevor came from, rookie season, probably one of the most toxic situations, which is why I also have to give a lot of credit to my guy Dougie P, what he's able to do. Dougie P, as a coach, he's not really like the most X's and O's kind of guy, but he's a great leader. He's a great motivator, and he understands his players on such a high level. So I think Trevor getting the chance to work with a guy with the pedigree of a Doug Peterson was the best thing to happen for him. He came out this season, passed for over 4,000 yards, 25 touchdowns, only 8 interceptions, had the playoff win, kind of like Jay was saying. A lot of rookie quarterbacks, especially in their first playoff start, we've seen guys really struggle in their first playoff start. And then if you're a young guy, come out, throw 4 interceptions, the game's just really not going your way, you're down 27-0. It would really affect a lot of guys. But it didn't. Trevor played fantastic in the second half and led the Chargers all the way back. And then, of course, he wins the playoff win. And that was amazing. I mean, nobody really expected them to do anything before the season. I don't think people had them in the playoffs. People had them behind Indianapolis and Tennessee. Not just Tennessee, but Indianapolis with Matt Ryan. He was supposed to do something, but we all know that was not to be. So Trevor gets my vote as well. And he also gets the vote of the people narrowly edging out JJ's pick, which was Sauce Gardner. But this was a very close race. And I guess all these guys were deserving in some way. The only thing that I'm intrigued about is Brock Purdy. What is going to happen with this situation next season? Because at the end of the season press conference, our guy Kyle Shanahan said Jimmy G is not coming back. So Jimmy G is out of the equation in San Francisco. They traded a lot to get Trey Lance. But after seeing what Brock Purdy did, are they just going to give him the starting job? I think a quarterback competition is going to be in play for these guys. And I don't know what's going to happen. But it will be interesting. For sure.
Absolutely. Think it's just us, man. Oh, here he is. Hey, you muted. Hey, James, you're muted.
I just had to get up for a second.
All right.
I am going to take us into the biggest disappointment of the year. And our finalists are Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott, Denver Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson, and Indianapolis Matt Ryan, who I was just talking about 3 seconds ago. Anybody care to start us off? Go ahead, Jay.
Hey, man.
I think it's going to be a resounding Russ. Like, absolutely, because even if you didn't think he was going to be that great quarterback, we had people that said outside of James and maybe some other people here.
Well, I didn't. To be fair, I didn't think he was going to be this terrible.
True, but
I may have said it. I don't think he's going to be that good, but
true. And it's
I didn't
just
see this.
This year, there were some lows in his season that I never thought I would see at this point in his career. I thought that would be something like he's like 39 or something if he was playing, because it was just disappointing, and it was just, you spent a lot of money for this guy. You had a bomb defense, had some good players, and I do agree. I think Dak, had the high and everything, but I think when you spend that money, you wanted this person to come through and deliver. And there were points in their season where there were sometimes you could say almost 25, 26 quarterbacks who were playing better than he was. And for a guy that once was regarded as the top 5 quarterback or top 7 all-time, quarterback for his decade, to come down here, that was just disappointing, like very, very disappointing. And because just 2 years before he came there, he almost had an MVP year before they kind of fell to the cracks. It wasn't as if he wasn't playing well. He didn't even have anything of an average year this year. He had a bad year this year, which is very disappointing. So for me, it's Russ.
We'll go to Dom next.
Yeah, it's definitely Russ. I mean, like you said, I don't think any of us thought it would be this bad. And apparently you were the only one amongst us that had them finishing last. But
Yeah, but the reason I had him last was not because of just Russ. I just thought the team was being overhyped, but I did not see this coming.
Yeah, like I mean, who knows what'll happen next year? I don't think the Sean Payton acquisition is going to fix or save anything. Apparently Denver at this point is the new Rams with the F those picks, because they had, one left. And they're like, oh, we'll just trade it for Sean Payton. And like Russ fell off a Xavier Rhodes.
Traded 3 firsts and 3 seconds for Sean Payton and Russell Wilson.
And to Dom's point, he had lost the game by an interception he threw that turned the corner against Indianapolis on the 4th down, the same way it happened in the Super Bowl. That's
Mhm.
just
Yeah, Russ fell off a Xavier Rhodes-esque cliff at this point. Xavier Rhodes is another. For my whole life, I always thought Russ was a tad overrated, much like Xavier Rhodes. So in all reality, I guess he didn't have as far to fall, but man, I don't have any strong
Man,
feelings about the Broncos or their fan base, but I kind of feel sorry for them.
JJ brought up the Colts game, bro. I think that was the game when not Russell Wilson, but Richard Sherman had like a mental breakdown because he was just like,
Yeah.
lost
run the
it.
ball. Like you could see the pain in this man's face. He was like reliving that moment.
He lost it. He triggered everything. He could not control himself. Like, you
Nah.
learn from mistakes. Run the ball. What are you doing? Like
He was having flashbacks. That's what it was. He was speaking from a place of history. He was
He
speaking
was
from a
speaking
place of
from his
memory.
heart, bro.
Yeah.
It was bad. He had some very low points of his career, which I didn't like. I'll say it. He looked so bad. He could have been argued as the worst quarterback in the league at one point this year. That's how bad he looked. That's crazy to say about a guy like that.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, if you factor in all the things, how much money he makes, what it took asset-wise to acquire him, and then his performance, yeah, that's a strong
people
argument.
also said, look at this roster. Look at the Broncos team. They're like, oh, they're only a quarterback from being a Super Bowl team. He could beat a Stafford. You know, remember what they said? Stafford going to the Rams. He wins the Super Bowl. Well, he could be the Matthew Stafford of this year. Nope. So,
Russell Wilson, you could never be Matthew Stafford.
So, Jay, did you also vote for Russ or did you vote for someone else?
You know, it's really easy to say Russell Wilson, but I did go another. Who am I kidding? It's Russell Wilson. Listen, y'all heard me trash Ciara's husband all year. I'm not gonna call him by his given name like y'all doing. I'm not extending him that much grace. No.
Yeah, we messed up because it was like what week
Ciara's
3?
husband had a career low in touchdown pass this year. He only 16. All I want to know is this. I want to know where the Russ Wilson is elite crowd at. Remember when he won that Super Bowl and everybody was like, oh, Russ was elite. And everyone knew that it was the running game and the defense that did it. But he hadn't did nothing since, especially like, okay, he's had his years in Seattle. Granted, boom. He gets to Denver and he Sugar Hill iced tea the bed on so much. He's like I get it. Nathaniel Hackett never been the coach, in my opinion. He never should have. But Russ, he should have done better than that. He should have done way, way better than that. And you know, considering what it took to get him, you paid this man $200 million. Now you're pretty much stuck with him unless you're gonna, unask him, in which that's probably a cap hit. I don't know. I have to look at the numbers. You're bringing in Sean Payton. Maybe, just maybe, I'm not gonna sit here and say that he's gonna be awesome next year. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's gonna be terrible next year. But I know for this year he was horrible, horrible. And so yeah, Russ is easily the biggest disappointment. That probably shouldn't have even been a poll.
Okay, Russ is the answer of this.
Yeah.
But I will say this. We are sleeping on Dak. Dak was terrible as well this year. Dak, how do you miss 5 games? How do you miss 5 games, Dak? And you're still tied for the league lead in interceptions. And you go out in the playoffs against a garbage Tampa Bay Buccaneers team with a pediatric Tom Brady, and you absolutely light it up, and then you just stink the next game. And Dak, once again, is holding the Dallas Cowboys team back. They're never going to win a Super Bowl with Dak. He is not the guy. But unfortunately, he just wasn't as bad as Russ this season. I'm just saying we're sleeping on Dak a little bit. But here's the thing. Russ was brought in for a reason. Russ was brought in because they were thinking he can elevate this team to a Super Bowl. To compete against the teams in our division, to compete against the Los Angeles Chargers with Justin Herbert, the Kansas City Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, we're going to have an elite quarterback of our own. And that's what they thought they were getting with Russ. That's why they gave him one of the biggest contracts in the NFL. That's why they gave up all their assets to get him, gutted their future to get him, and now they're stuck with him. So now you got Sean Payton. You got to pray that he can turn them around. And I just don't know. I just don't know that. I think he can, because I don't think Sean Payton is this great coach that everyone thinks he is. I don't think he's gonna turn Russ around. I think Russ is who he is. He might not be as bad next year, but I just don't ever see him being the guy. And it was just a nightmare from Russ from the start. So he was the most disappointing player in the league this season. Any other thoughts on
I just want to know what the numbers were. If he won. The percentage. If he won it, which I'm sure he did.
Oh, it was by a landslide.
It was
He had that like 100%.
It was really bad, but really bad. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that my opinion. I don't believe that he can still turn around with a new coach and a new system or another year of the system. But both statements are true, because when you are considered, when I think these things about him that I never thought was possible, it's just like, bro, like this is kind of this was kind of a Donovan McNabb and Washington Redskins 2000, I think 8 or 9 type. Yeah. And that guy got benched. They didn't bench you because they had no.
Well, he was horrible. That's why he got benched.
They didn't bench you but they also didn't bench you because they had no other viable option. Because trust and believe, if you had a viable option, like someone that came in and was a little bit successful, you might have ran with it.
I don't know about that. They're paying Russ way too much money to just have him on the bench.
Stranger things have happened. True.
Okay, guys. So, dark horse for next year to win a Gauntlet award. Jay, who are the nominees for this?
So the nominees for this, and mind you, the criteria was for any category. It could be biggest disappointment. It could be Gauntlet Grinder. It could be Sports Moron. Whatever your criteria was for voting. But we did see a couple of standouts this year, and that's the nominees were New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones, Detroit Lions running back Jamal Williams, wide receiver DK Metcalf from the Seahawks, and Bears quarterback Justin Fields.
Okay. I guess I'll go first.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to pick Justin Fields. I really do. But I can't trust the Bears organization until they give me a reason to know that they are going to support this young man and put a team around him. I just don't know. So this is tough. This is tough for me. I think
I know what Don's picking.
I don't know, man. I don't know the answer to this one.
Let's see. Come back to JJ.
Who were the nominees again?
Quarterback Daniel Jones, running back Jamal Williams, wide receiver DK Metcalf, and quarterback Justin Fields.
I got running back Jamal Williams as going to be a rising star for a Gauntlet next year, just because he's going to get more of a workload. And, Detroit's going to possibly, get another person on the offensive line. They're going to build their team. They're going to expand because they know that this guy had the ability to get into the end zone. I think he's going to have much more of a workload, and he's going to get and be a breakout guy to get to like over 1,000 yards with 10+ touchdowns. I think the rising star of Gauntlet next year.
Okay. Dom, go ahead and say Jamal Williams and why.
I mean, could be maybe Jamal Williams, but probably not in Detroit. I mean, unless he wants to give us a hella hometown deal, like it or not, I love Jamal Williams as a person, as a leader, all of those things. But guess what? Like outside of those, 17, like great red zone guy. Outside of the 20-yard line, barely a 4 yards per carry guy. He's 27 years old. He's not getting any younger, faster, any of that. And if he wants a bunch of money, I don't want it to be in Detroit. I mean, honestly, I don't.
Are we
I don't
sure that
get
he's
it.
even better than DeAndre Swift when DeAndre Swift is healthy? Because before DeAndre Swift got hurt, he was leading the league in rushing.
It's funny because 2 off seasons ago, like leading into the preseason, Jamal Williams lost weight trying to take carries from Swift. Swift put on weight trying to take carries from Williams. I mean, it's not like a Lions thing, but I don't really want either of them in Detroit next year because our O-line is so good. Unless Jamal Williams is going to take $7.5 million a year, because what he's James Conner. And that's what James Conner makes. And Swift, keep him here 1 more year, fine. Let him. I hope he has a great contract year. You're still gone.
Okay. Fair enough. James, you hadn't decided on one?
I really wouldn't pick any of these guys. If it was
what I'm
my
saying.
choice. I think a guy that kind of intrigues me a lot is Sam Howell from the Washington Commanders. I think that the Commanders are going to go with him as their starting quarterback for next year, and they might as well. I mean, they're most likely going to cut Carson Wentz. They're not going to keep him on the team, especially not on that salary just to be a backup. It's not going to happen. Carson Wentz, we don't even know if this guy's – he's definitely not going to have a starting job in the league. So we're going to see how this guy's going to be able to handle having a backup role. And then Taylor Heineke, I think that we've seen what he can do with this Washington team. He's all right. He's all right, but you have a rookie quarterback. You have some good pieces. You have a guy like Terry McLaurin, who's a really good receiver. You have Robinson, who's a good running back. So I kind of
Gibson.
Dotson, good player that they drafted last year. So I would like to see what he can do with a full season with Sam Howell, and then see if he can be the guy in Washington. He was impressive against the Cowboys, and I know it was only 1 game, but over a full season, I think it'd be interesting.
Okay. Very interesting. Fair enough. Well, the winner and the polls actually closed a few minutes ago, but the winner was quarterback Justin Fields. He won with 53% of the vote. Actually, as I was periodically checking it last night, Jamal Williams held a lead for most of the time, and then it looks like Justin Fields quickly pulled away today. There's a reason why people are saying just him Fields, because it's just him, and that's it. The guy very quietly rushed for over 1,000 yards this year, becoming the 3rd quarterback to do so. And if you ask Jacob Christner, he wishes that Justin Fields deserves better, and should
But
be out.
are they going to build a team around Fields?
That's unknown. That's unknown. I mean, he definitely deserves it, or to go elsewhere.
This is what the Bears need to do. They need to go out and they need to get Justin Fields a real wide receiver.
Yes.
The Buffalo Bills got Josh Allen. They got him Stephon Diggs.
But
The Philadelphia Eagles got Jalen
at
Hurts.
least 2 starting O-linemen.
The Philadelphia Eagles got Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown. Go get him. It doesn't have to be a guy that's maybe on those guys' level, but get a guy who's actually good.
What you mean? What you mean? If you want a guy to be successful, you get a guy on those guys' level. And they got $91.8 million to spend. They're going to.
Yes, the crappy teams always do have a bunch of free agent money.
Compared to what they have now.
I know you're used to it, right?
Their team is trash. So just get a guy that can make some plays. Get open, get separation, catch the ball, do something, because the Bears don't have that on their team.
Get some O linemen first.
Right.
I never thought I would see myself feeling so
He has
sorry
no weapons
for a quarterback in my division.
He doesn't have either one. He doesn't have an offensive line, and he doesn't have weapons.
He doesn't have weapons, but the game of football has taught us that even when you don't have weapons, if you have an offensive line, you have chances to still be successful in some form or fashion. You have a chance. Look at the
The Lions.
Exactly. Look at the Lions. Look at the Texans at sometimes. And hell, even look at the Ravens of 2019.
The Lions have a great offensive line.
No, we're not. What I'm saying is you can, for example, they always say if your offensive line can block and you get all time in the world, there's not a defense that can hold you forever. So it does present you a better chance to build from that. They're going to go get a wide receiver, but I do agree with Dom. If you want this guy to try to get a chance to be at his best, you got to protect him. You got to be able to make sure he can remain upright because why? He uses his legs. He needs to be able to protect himself and use his legs. They'll get the wide receiver. That's coming. But look at what your team has had. You talk about the offensive line. That has helped your team and your quarterback elevate as he grows, and that's what they need to do with Justin Fields. They got plenty of to get whatever they want.
Now, I agree with all sides here because on one end of the spectrum, yes, he does need a better O line, but also James is right. There's a reason why Justin Fields is a one-read quarterback because he don't got nobody.
I just don't trust the Bears organization.
And when your one read is,
the Bears organization is not a good organization. They're not an organization that has made good decisions, made good moves. So I don't have any reason to believe that they are. I think the best thing that could happen to Justin Fields is Justin Fields gets traded and the Chicago Bears go in another direction, use the number 1 overall pick on another quarterback, maybe CJ Stroud, maybe Bryce or someone. And then one of those guys can fail in Chicago.
I mean, to be honest with you, they are rebuilding. Rebuilding, you look like how you look. So
they've been rebuilding for how long?
They were not too far from being in the playoffs. Y'all had to beat them to get to the playoffs. So it's only been like 4 or 5 years, which some teams have been longer. There have been teams who have had horrible, longer droughts of no success than the Bears. The Bears have to rebuild. When you rebuild, you're going to look like this. You're going to have people say the organization's not doing this. We haven't even got to free agency. There are guys coming out. You have to see. There was a point. Did y'all think y'all was going to get A.J. Brown? Were they not saying that when they came in? No.
We knew we were going to get somebody.
That was a trade.
How do you not know they're not doing that? We haven't had the chance. We're not foretelling the future.
The Eagles are a more well-run organization in the last 20 years than the Bears.
We don't have foresight.
Jalen Hurts recruited A.J. Brown to Philadelphia because of their relationship. They have known each other for years, and Jalen tried to recruit him to Alabama, but he went to Ole Miss.
So
that is completely different.
James, what are you talking about? Are we in July now? Has free agency happened? How do we know Justin's not recruiting it now? We had this conversation at the end of August when we're previewing the season, but now none of us have foresight. The Bears could come out and give 2 slam dunk wide receivers.
My prediction.
No, I was saying, I might get that, but I'm saying I don't think that they're not. I think of worse organizations and how they've handled players than what this team has been doing. They got this guy, now they got to build around him, and let's see what happens when they build around him.
Except he was drafted before they hired the GM and the head coach. I said this right when he got drafted. He got put in a horrible position. A GM and a head coach that have no relationship with him. They gave up a first-round pick, so they didn't have that first-round pick the next year to get him any weapons. And at this point, what's going on with that team is hindering him. We don't even know what he is as a passer.
But I will say this. You are right about something, JJ. This team has no excuse to not put something around Justin Fields. You have $98 million in cap space. You better put something around him. And if you don't, then I have nothing left to say.
Trade him.
Pretty
I
much.
think
Yeah.
he could be. I do think Justin could be successful if the team actually supports him. So we'll see. We'll see.
The Bears are the worst franchise in the NFL at drafting quarterbacks. They finally get a
They've
guy that
never had a
maybe
good
could be
quarterback in their
something.
history. In their history,
Never had a 4,000-yard passer.
their best quarterback is Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler.
Cutler is your best quarterback of all time, bro.
Jay Cutler, also the best quarterback from a basketball school ever.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, I thought was a baseball school.
Syracuse.
Oh, now you want to
Jay
bring up
Cutler
Donovan
over
McNabb.
I'm not even a McNabb guy, but
It's an argument. That's fair.
anyway, guys, that wraps us for tonight. This is Sideline Sports. This is the Gauntlet, covering everything in the NFL. I will be live in Glendale, Arizona next week, covering the Super Bowl. The show will be moved to Monday night, so make sure you guys set that on your calendars. We will not be going on Fridays. We're hopefully going to have some guests on the show, some people stopping by the booth. It's going to be fantastic, so make sure you guys are following Sideline Sports for all the Super Bowl coverage, because they will be all over it. I can promise you guys that. You guys got anything left to say before we sign off for the night?
Thanks for tuning in to the Gauntleys. We will be back for, of course, special episode, like you said, on Monday. JT will be live out there. And then the week after that, we'll be back to Fridays. Of course, the third annual Gauntleys. And also coming up shortly, be on the lookout. The Gauntlet's 100th episode will be coming soon. We'll be staying in touch with everybody.
Months.
Well, yeah, it'll be here before you know it. But yeah, I thought you said it was not that long. But okay, anyway, yeah.
April.
April. Okay, well, in the not so distant future, will be the 100th episode. It'll be a big episode. So anyone
like 91
who
tonight.
91. Oh, okay. So yeah, anyone who's ever been on, you're more than welcome to come on and say a few words about the show and whatnot. We'll have more coming out there, but just know that in April, officially, the 100th episode of the Gauntlet. And y'all know where to find me at.
April 7th, looks like.
Okay, I'll have to do the math later. But with that being said, guys, from all of us at Sideline Sports, we will see you on the next episode of The Gauntlet.